I think I just figured it out. The reason why Pokemon are so much more dangerous than others is because alphas exist. Now think about it for a second. Really think about it. Nope. Hey, Cyclope. I am out of Pokeballs. I'm in a time distortion rift. I am almost out of Pokeballs. I have 3 left of those, and 6 left of those. Whoops. Oregon, but we already have those. Hey, Dream Whisperer. Arceus. Snorlax, but we're working on him. Is that High Blade? God, I've lost track. Hi, Seth. Hi, Cycloud. Ooh, Oregon. Stop telling them to kick me in my Pokeballs. What do I do to deserve this? Don't answer that. Ow. My satchel's full? Full satchel, no Pokeballs. Time to leave. I'm gonna look around a bit just in case there's like one last Pokemon that's really worth picking up. So far that's turning into a big fat no. I will say, and I'm sure it makes for bad streaming material, so I do apologize for being a terrible streamer. My upgrades are up to the 12,000 yen each slot range. For the record, I have 20,000 yen on me. Anyways, well, I'm sure it makes terrible streaming, and I'm sure I am a terrible streamer. It's actually really nice just doing the run-around loop, for lack of a better way to put it. Looting stuff, catching mons, you know, filling out the decks. You know, just the loop, right? It's fun. It probably stops being fun at a certain point. But it's still fun. Like, everything stops being fun at some point. But yeah, those satchel upgrades, that's just... That gets way too expensive, way too fast. Especially when we have other... money sinks already there, which are much more useful and more worthwhile. So we're going to go ahead and double up that negative, I think. Alright, let's make some stuff. Excuse me. First things first, we're going to make 50 of those. Just right off the bat. Yeah, the fact that the final upgrade is 1,000,000 freaking yen is just... What? You know, fair point. I am the worst streamee. That's also not true. There's so many worse streamers than me. Okay, I can't even self-depreciatingly refer to myself as that bad. I've seen what kind of other people stream. Oh, thanks, Seth. Could someone go murder Seth really quick, please? Just right in the face, you know? Pretend he's a Nazi for 5 seconds and just... right there. Right in the kisser. Alright, what kind of goomies did we get? Ooh. When does Gumi evolve? Does anyone know? Or can look it up, please? Oh, wow. No actual nature, but already decent effort values. That's solid. Hmm. You notice I'm already at that point, too. I'm debating... So, okay. Staraptor's actually 50, thank you. Actually redundant compared to the Crobat. The only reason Staraptor's on my team is because it happens to be one of my highest level, but it's not intended for a final team slot. So if we want to start leveling Gumi, this is a good time to do it. These three I'm honestly pretty locked in on. I don't care about these top three. I don't mind using a Dusk Noir, just because I never have. Alakazam I could get. You know, having a solid Psychic type is fine, but Alakazam is pretty weak for a Psychic type, honestly. And Psychic isn't the power... Oh my god, the powerhouse it used to be. So I could replace him. And Typhlosion, I mean, he's good. He's a starter. But, So, let's think about this. We've got Dragon and Ground. We've got Poison and Flying. We're going to have Dragon and whatever else it's going to be. Possibly just Dragon. So... Yep, it grows forever and ever until his brain pops, because the Pokedex entries were written by 5-year-olds. Excuse me, 10-year-olds. They were written by Vigilance Donation. Just the donation. Okay, so it'll be Dragon Poison. We're going to have a little bit of Poison and a little bit of Dragon, but I think I can live it. If at the end of the day, I could lose the Crobat if I have to. I've used Crobat many times. It is an awesome Pokemon. But, like... It's just such a good Pokemon. All right. Thank you, Vigilance, very much. Yes, Old World's Blue. Old World Blues donated. Or donated. I can't talk. You tell I just woke up. I made the same mistake I always did. I'm tired. Old World Blues wrote the Pokedex entries, is what I was trying to say. Alpha Centauri. And Fallout London. Favorite game for chilling was Vigilance question. Good question for the crowd, if anyone wants to answer. What's your favorite game or game genre for just chilling? It's been a long day. You just want to unwind for a bit. Where do you lean? Honestly, Von Falkenstein, I was tired before daylight savings time. In total sincerity, if I had realized, this is my fault, if I had realized that daylight savings time was last Sunday, I would have already taken the break. I would have used this time to reset instead of trying to push through Arceus first. Whoops. It's hit my entire family really hard, too. Because of course it has. Because it always does. Because it's dumb. And it always has been dumb. God damn it. Thank you, Snake Eyes, very, very much. If you want to put the donation towards up to 3 things, please let me know. MMOs is a good pick. Yeah, just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. It's so easy. It's such an easy thing. It is a universally positive thing. Just get rid of it. God. No, we gotta have fear mongering. We gotta have rumor mongering. We gotta worry about issues that aren't issues instead of fixing real problems that are really fixable. God, I hate politicians. Let's line them up. Anyways, Dragon Quest Builders 2, good answer. Mario 3, I'm actually with you on that. I know I had some issues with Mario 3, but as I think I showed, a lot of that was the version I was playing. Or the emulator I was using. Never actually narrowed that down. Because Mario World used to be that for me. In many ways, Mega Man is that for me even now. I can just sit down and play one of the Mega Man, one of the classic Mega Mans, or like Mega Man X1, for example. Just same thing with Super Metroid, actually. There's a reason I tend to do speed runs of Super Metroid while during Polemic Day. It's because it actually is relaxing to me, and I need to have that extra layer while doing Polemic Day. Okay, so hang on, yeah, let's peruse Bulbapedia for a minute, even though Cerebi is better in every way. Ocarina. Ocarina and Star Fox used to be... Sorry, Ocarina, Star Fox, and Paper Mario 1 used to be my relaxed games, my chill games. Okay. No, I got it right here. It needs to be level 50 during rain or fog in the overworld. But it's going to be Steel Dragon, apparently. Except for the Hisuian version, which is not even listed here, of course. Splatterhouse. Okay. Well, hang on. Let's hit the stream break for a second. Because that can mean several things. So we got to figure out which game you're talking about first. Okay, so do you mean the 1988 Splatterhouse or the 2010 Splatterhouse? Let's start with that. Yeah, Steel Dragon sounds solid. And I do like Steel. Not usually a big fan of dragon types, but I think we can make an exception here. God. Okay. So the biggest problem I see immediately is it's a PS3 only game. Which is always problematic. It's also very expensive. $124 at the cheapest. So, unfortunately, for that reason, unfortunately, I already said unfortunately. I'm saying unfortunately like 3 more times. I'm going to have to say no. I'm sorry. That's why the PS3 games can be problematic. They're not always. But every time I hear a PS3 game be out, I'm like, let's go see how bad it is. That's true with the PS2, the PS1, the N64, like that whole era, right? From after the SNES until about the PS4 era, all that era is just, well, sometimes it's fine. Okay, so we're gonna stick with Gumi there. Might rotate out the Crobat. I feel like I want more coverage. We're gonna have a Garchomp. What else do we have? Yeah, we do seem to be getting a lot of rock or ground. We have no water types. I don't think we've seen any solid water types yet. Dealer's choice. Okay. I am sorry, Snake Eyes. But thank you. Most favorite obscure way to evolve a Pokemon. Oh, jeez, I don't know. Probably one of the weird ones in Shield. There were some very weird ones in Shield. That's a good point. Let's see if we get an ice type. Wait. Where's... I thought I already caught one. I might not have. They're just shotgunning Pokemon into my thing. Oh, there it is right there. No, that's water type. Shellos is water type. I knew it, Giga. Time to hunt Mr. Red down. I feel like I had a Shellos as my main in one of my mains in Gen 4. The only reason I'm hesitant to do that. Tentacruel can be decent, but that would make like 3 poison types at that point. No, you want to have an accent that fits this here scarf. I gotta drag it down a little bit. No Seadra. Honestly, I haven't seen any water types that really have wowed me. What the hell's grass good against? I use grass all the time. I don't remember what it's good against. I remember what is good against grass. Flying and fire. Rock, ground, and water. Again, I've used Lilligant before, though, so I kind of want to avoid that if I can. Only we had some other grass types. I have never used a Tangela in any, like, large-scale purpose, or, you know what I mean. So it would be a new type for me to use. Hi, Bregman. Well, we could get Skizor. We could also get Cleavor. Bug Rock. Rock would kind of help cover the absence of... We don't have a lightning type. Me too, Walker. Me too. Yeah, no, we've got Sphinx right there, but... Or Shinx right there, excuse me. But I also had Shinx on my main team in Gen 4. I know I'm saying that a lot, but what do you want from me? You know, I've never actually made a go of making Misdreavus a main. I was just talking about that earlier. Let's see. We need a Dusk Stone to get Mesmagius. Now there's a question. Given how differently moves work in this version, if I use a stone on someone, do they stop learning moves? Or can they keep learning moves? Like forever? Like every other Pokemon. Like, essentially, is this the same as any other Pokemon game, or do they bypass that because of how move learning works in this version? Because if that's true, I actually have a Duskstone on me. Okay. You see what I just did here, Giga? This is new to this game. So as you level Pokemon, they have moves which go into the move set on the left here. On the left over here. See all this stuff? This is from leveling. Any Pokemon that you use a stone on to evolve, they stop gaining abilities as they level. They stop gaining skills as they level. So, does that still apply here, is the question. Yeah, sure, Goldworm. Because again, if it doesn't, I could literally have a Mischievous right now. Mm-hmm. Hey, Zeiss. Thank you for the sub. As always. And yeah, I see what you're saying, Colgrim. So it looks like they did actually adjust for the change system, which is good. It means somebody actually thought about the exact problem I just had. Oops. Horizon, Forbidden West. Cyberpunk, Capital Freedom. F7R2, The Rebirth of the Moogle. Okay. In that case... I've never actually used a Skizor while we're on the subject. And that would be another steel type. We could kind of like drift a little bit into being a steel challenge. Not a full steel challenge, but, you know, leaning that way. What other steel types are in Arceus? Hang on, hang on. Skizar is pretty slow in a game where that matters. Steel is good against Ice, Rock, and Fairy, which is not super great coverage. Still. Where's my Scythers? Where's my Scythers? There they are. Increased speed, reduced attack. And neutral. I mean, you'd figure Rock Bug would be faster than Steel Bug. So that kind of tracks. You know, I think I'm going to commit to this, just because we've essentially never done this. I've never used a Scyther before. If I have any variety. So for that reason alone, we're gonna poke at it. We're gonna try it. And I think we're gonna do the same with Mischievous. Again, because we never have. Yeah, that's the question. Do we do Skizor? Yeah, exactly, Blade-Table. Skizor, or do we do Cleavor? Because I think I have the items for both on me. I'd have to double check that. And then we'll have you. Well, maybe have the Crobat. We'll definitely have the Garchomp. I'm committing to that. That leaves me 1 or 2 slots, and I kind of want either a solid water or a solid lightning. I don't think I have any candidates for either at the moment. I'll probably make it a vote between Skizor and Cleavor. Let me check my items really quick. So there's the Cleavor item. I don't actually see a metal coat, so it looks like I don't have the scissor item. Hang on, hang on. Chinchou is terrible. Therefore, I've never used it. How do we get a metal coat in the game we're playing? $1,000 MP. Yeah, just like the rest of them. Means I need to do a lot more of these stupid things, which I can do. I have a solid mount set up now. Well, let's set up the vote first. Decide. Which, I mean, we'll set up the vote, and that will decide. Might be a less confusing way to phrase it. Oh, hey, someone sent me a private message on Twitch, which continues to amuse me because I continue to not be able to play these. Or respond to these, excuse me. It's even better when people put donations in responses in there. Okay. There. That happens all the time, too, Blue Velvet. By the way, hi, Blue Velvet. You're voting on Skizor or Cleavor. Meantime, I'm gonna go get some MP, because I might need it soon. I'm down for either. I have no preference. That's interesting. It's a valid reason to vote for some. I thought I made... Okay, whatever. We got about 4 minutes left to vote. Skizor or Cleavor. Yeah, I will freely admit, when I finally get to the Final Fantasy audit runs, I will mention the audio drama, but I will not include it. Because screw the audio drama. Screw it in its stupid, dumb face. Is that up? That is up. Yeah, Final Fantasy... There's technically a Final Fantasy X-3. It's a short story audio drama thing that happens after 10-2. It's terrible. If you just sat down right now and tried to come up with the best way to spit on the entire no, not the whole franchise, but like the whole of FF10, and all the characters and all the events they're in, you would probably come up with that audio drama. Because it was, like, beautiful in its efficiency for how much it sucked. 14 negatives. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, last mission was another dumb one for pretty much the exact same reason. If that's the one I'm thinking of. Why was it so bad? I mean, I could go right for the jugular, if you don't mind spoilers. Yeah, so Tidus and Yuna break up. For no good reason, by the way. It's quite literally just because drama. You know how much of a fan I am of fake drama. That's problem number one. Sin comes back, and will always come back. Even though that actually makes absolutely no sense once you understand who and what Sin is. Problem number two. Then there's problem number three. This is my personal favorite. Tidus dying to kicking a bomb. Yeah, the eternal calm wasn't so eternal. And again, there's even a line, I forget the phrasing, where it's like, and we must always be prepared because Sin will always come back. It's like, what? No, he didn't die, and oh god, I don't remember the specifics, but he kicked a freaking blitzball and died. It was a whole thing. And by blitzball, I mean bomb. Cleavor is the winner. Not by much. God, hang on, I gotta look up the specifics, because it's actually been a minute since I've actually sat down and read this stupid thing. Nah, hang on. No, yeah, he dies. I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. But it's even worse than that. I actually forgot about this little tidbit. So Tidus and Yuna end up shipwrecked on an unknown island resembling Besaid. Tidus theorizes they traveled back in time 1,000 years. Tidus is then killed when he mistakes an ancient bomb of Bavel for a blitzball and runs up and kicks it. Yuna faints from the shock of the fact that her ex-boyfriend just died and unknowingly beckons him back to the world as a summon. God. Yeah, no, it's grade A trash. Now, the really funny part is you're probably thinking, what moron wrote all that? The person who wrote the original story of FF10. That's actually worse than I even remembered. That's so bad. Thank you, Atal Hakar. Here, have some blood. Blood. There you go. Thank you for the donation. If you would like to put that towards up to 3 future streams, please let me know. Thank you. Was he on drugs when he wrote the novel or the game? See, that's the question, isn't it? There's also that age-old thing when we have to understand and acknowledge that just because a writer has written something well does not mean they will always write something well. Those weird little facts of reality that we all trip up. I trip up on that all the time. It's like, but you were a good writer. How did you write something so crap? My favorite part is there have been talks, these have gone nowhere, it's worth noting, but there have been talks about turning that whole audio drama thing into an actual FF10-3, an actual third game. want you to picture that for a minute. So, do I think a Switch is still worth it at this point? It's actually kind of a complex question at this point. So, let me start by saying that there are lots of great games on the Switch. For example, there's all of this. Any questions? I'm barely joking. There are a lot of really great games on the Switch. And so I can recommend it on that thing. But here's the catch. Ignore all these. Nobody likes Final Fantasy. But here's the catch. We have an absence of information about the Switch 2 right now, which kind of changes the equation, you know? So, if the Switch 2 comes with backwards compatibility, which it should, then I would not recommend picking up a Switch now. Especially since the Switch 2 is, at this point, extremely highly likely to come out next spring, specifically. Now, I know I've already been wrong about the release date of the Switch 2 once. Because, you know, it was supposed to go out this spring. Still weirded out by that, not gonna lie. But, again, the fact is, if the Switch 2 has backwards compatibility, so pick it up. Now, if it doesn't have backwards compatibility, go for it, because the Switch is a very solid system. There's actually other factors as well, though. For example, if the Switch 2 does not have the same handheld capacity, or if it does not have the same controller capacity, etc., etc. Put simply, I would wait a minute. And by a minute, I mean probably about 9 months. Within 9 months, we'll have a pretty solid picture of what's happening next year. It is ironic because one of the biggest theories about why the Switch 2 was pushed out was to try and squeeze more sales out of the Switch 1. And one of the biggest things I keep telling people is don't buy the Switch 1. I know, nobody listens to me, but it is just kind of funny to me. The Switch sold extremely well. It's the third best-selling console of all time. Why are they saying we don't need a Switch 2? I can make up a reason. So you see, aliens, right? Okay, and these aliens... Any questions? Oh, that's the edge of the world. There it is. Joking aside, the Switch is extremely close to being almost a perfect gaming console. And I'm not being facetious about that. It has almost one of the best controllers out there. It has almost the best library accessibility out there. It has almost the best overall availability and reach for different people who have different needs when it comes to gaming consoles. So the biggest reason I would say we might not need a Switch is because they might screw it up next time. Which is something Nintendo has been known to do. That's true, Pika. Doesn't have anything to do with this, but it's still true. Yeah, the every other console curse isn't actually real, of course, but it is still something on a lot of people's minds. What's really sad is the Wii U and the GameCube were both actually really solid consoles, but more after the fact than at the time, right? Like, we got a lot of really solid games on both, but both of them were also financial flops compared to before and after. I got a lot of use out of my Wii U, so I'm admittedly a little biased there. But the GameCube was just solid. It just wasn't the PS2. And ultimately, that's kind of the biggest reason why the GameCube was a financial failure. It wasn't the PS2. Most people don't understand the sheer juggernaut levels of what the PS2 was managing at the time. And done with those. Okay. Oh, absolutely, Shadow Machine. The NES, the SNES, and the N64 were big successes. Oh, sure, little Alex. Hang on, hang on. It's called beckoning. It is a term used for FF10 2.5 AN no Daisho and FF10 Will. First of all, there's obviously FF10-2, which is its own thing. Then in FF10-2 IN no Daisho, that's where Tidus dies, specifically. That's when they find out what's going on with the island. And the island is going to disappear. And Yuna realizes that if Tidus realizes he's a summon, he will disappear because of nonsense. FF10 Will is when Yuna joins the Yevoners. And they're doing this whole thing where they're trying to be stupid. Oh, and that's when Sin comes back. Yeah, okay. Because people are like, we believe in Sin. And there's this big dumb thing about illusory people. God, it's really dumb. Anyways. FF10 2.5. EIEN space no space DAISHO is specifically the thing you're looking up. That's where Tidus dies by kicking a bomb in the past. Christ. Just never letting that go. Thank you for the additional subs at Tolkar. A little more blood, a little more blood. Okay. What was the action in the past? I don't remember. I didn't even read it, that part, so I don't know. It's been a minute. What am I doing? First let's heal. Let's get some rank. Because we should have some solid rank at this point. Oh, hang on. Let's check this. Because you voted for Cleavor. We can make that happen right now. Also, oh god, I'm down to 8 Tumblestones. I mean, the whole story arc ended on Sin is back, and we will fight him as we always have. And the end. And it's just like, you never actually fought Sin, you idiots. That's not what you were doing. Hang on, I just realized I'm stupid. Let's de-stupid, shall we? Cleavor time. See how this works. Oh, absolutely, it's Mirror Star. Behold his power. Hang on a sec. That's what I thought. So, I don't like the look either, honestly. Really quick little anecdote, and then I'll let go of the FF10 thing. The FF10 stuff was obviously written by the guy who wrote FF10, Nojima, one of the writers of FF10, Nojima. Nojima has written several other things, but the most commonly repeated ones are, of course, FF15, FF7R1, FF7R2, and FF13. Now, you could say whatever you want about quality of writing, but there is a recurring thread in all of those works, and I do think it's actually probably my least favorite thing about his writing style. They all circle around the concept of fate, and fate being this big, overwhelming thematic thing in each of the things that I just mentioned. I mentioned that because that lines up with his overall writing style with FF10 2.5 or 3 or whatever you want to call it. Because, again, it's all about fate. We are fated to continue to strive against sin, etc., etc. It's very much his style. Okay, so we have a Cleavor. We're working on a Garchomp. We've got the Crobat. We're working on a Slidrew, or how do you say that? We have a Misdreavus, which needs a Duskstone, I think. Which I don't think we have. And I'm wrong, because there's one right there. Oh, absolutely, it's all up there. Well, I don't want to spoil FF7R2 Enemy Show. So now we have our Miss Magius. And we'll see how we do with this run. Okay, now let's turn it. Tell what I was doing. Gumi hides away in the shade of trees where it's nice and humid. If the slime clothing its body dries out, the Pokemon instantly becomes lethargic. The leaves on its head are highly valued for medicinal purposes. Dry the leaves in the sun, boil them, and drink the bitter decoction for a remarkably effective relief from fatigue. So it's caffeinated, is what you're telling me. That wasn't even enough to... Okay, whatever. That's why I just sort of immediately dropped the topic map. It's like, well, I can't talk about that at all because that series is still coming out and the second entry is still very new. Let's... I think... I will admit I'm hesitant to draw too much judgment on FF7R1 or 2 until 3 is out. Except in so much as they are their own individual games, and I've already given my complaints about FF7R1 many times. From a gameplay axis. No, I don't think I have, but I agree with that, because I had that thought earlier. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, so Petalil. Well, one of them's called Remake, and one of them's called Rebirth. If the third one isn't called Reunion, I'll eat my hat. Ah, Pokemon! Oh, we've been discovered. Petalil is just sharing its leaves so we can make our medicine. No need to panic. The medicine ingredients come with the Pokemon? You know how scared I am of Pokemon? I'm sorry, I can't make this medicine anymore. This phobia of yours has gone on long enough. Pokemon scare you because you know nothing of them, yes, but your ignorance should worry you far more than the unknown, my dear. The Galaxy team even set up the survey course so we could learn about Pokemon. Would you have their efforts go to waste? I can't get over my fear right away. Although I guess the survey corps works hard in the wild too, even if it's scary. Okay, I'll try to get over my fear. Oh god. I'll start by learning about this Pokemon. Well, it's adorable and cute and cuddly. And it turns into a death machine if you evolve it properly. Any questions? When you say death machine... No, I mean death machine. Revengeance! I like it. FF7 Revengeance. I'm waiting on FF7 R2 because I don't have a PS5. I don't have grains or raspberries. For what it's worth, I've almost consistently heard two big things about FF7R2. That it's really, really good, and that the ending sucks. So, make of that what you will. Another one? Okay. Now what do you want? Crunchy salt. FF7R2, Legiball. I've played FF7R1. I can give a more solid opinion on that one. Okay, do we have... Yep, we have these. Do we have raspberries? I do. I mean, as Arceus points out, it's common for Part 2 to have be solid, but with a sucky ending, because usually the ending is functionally to be continued. I do appreciate you not spoiling. You notice I'm dodging around spoilers, too. I should mention I have spoiled several things about the ending for myself, but I am not speaking about those. I'm speaking about people's opinions about the ending. Now, if I was to actually speak about the ending... Any questions? You know my favorite part about this goddamn quest? It gives 5 orange berries and a small X candy. It's a pathetic know-nothing quest. Like, it's such a crap quest that I still have not completed to this very moment. No, I'm not going to spoil. You know me. I am quite anti-spoilers. I even had to come up with a new term. Because the word spoiler wasn't actually really doing the job of explaining to people what spoilers meant. No mentioning, by the way. Yeah, no men! The FF Crystal Chronicles series is a series of games I've never played because I've never had anyone to play it with. So I've never even played them, not for 1 minute. I don't mean to be derogatory at all. It's just, you know, we were like, well, that's a multiplayer thing, and it was that or pick up Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. So, anyways, you're looking perplexed, wondering why this little old man gets stubborn overselling the shopkeeper a few things. I'll tell you if you bring me the salt, which I have right here. Also not expected. Wish I could persuade you to join the core. Here you go. I mean, I should probably mention that the GameCube Mario Kart is, to this very day, my second favorite Mario Kart game. Yep, I understand how to work salt, thank you. That whelp made off with my dearest treasure, and I'll never let him live it down. What was his dearest treasure? Do I ever... Okay. Oh, Ross. Burger. So, if for anybody else who cares, but I know Ross asked, I tried Whataburger for lunch. It was... weird. It reminded me of Winstead's, if you're familiar with that. Bland, but not greasy. So I appreciated how relatively clean it was, but there was nothing being done to actually flavor the meat in any particular manner. Also, I actually spent an extra $1 to get the better bun, because I understand the value of bread to a sandwich. And the bun was actually pretty crap. So, the fries were also way too salty. Like, you know how when something is unpleasantly salty, to the point where it kind of causes issue? That's how salty the fries were. Here you go. So I will not be getting that again. It was a nice experiment, but a failed one. Ironically, ditto Blatable, but I have had 2 salty fries before. Other than the obvious incident today. That's interesting. I guess the taste is fine, but it's just not the same as the muffins from my hometown. I remember them being more moist and having this nice delicate flavor to them. Sorry to waste your time after all the trouble you went to gather ingredients for us. I'm afraid these mediocre muffins won't be enough to get me in Evie's good books. What's the matter, Evie? You want one? Oh, here you go. Pet that Evie! Pet that Evie! You like it? That's great. I'm glad. You want another? I don't know if that's wise. Too many snacks will give you a bellyache. You could resist that. I'll spoil you rotten if I'm not careful. Ah, that's a very good question, Saber for wife. Let me finish... get this recipe from the Jubilife muffins, which aren't quite the same as his hometown's. And that's another lure we can make. At some point, we'll probably have to actually engage in some of that crafting. But not yet. I personally am not a huge fan of Five Guys. I don't like having Five Guys in my mouth, you know? It's just... it leaves kind of an unpleasant aftertaste, you know? So... I am... okay, jokes aside. I'm actually legitimately not a really big fan of Five Guys. It's not terrible, but I won't seek it out. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is too expensive for what it is. And their fries, their plain fries are bland as hell. And their spicy fries are just too much. Choke. Talk to. That's a follow. Catch a Misdreavus. As long as I don't have to lose. Oh, I don't have a Misdreavus anymore. Yeah, Jersey Mike's is pricey, but generally it's really, really solid, so sure. Did I finish Ghastly? I did finish Ghastly. Yeah. Favorite character... Sorry, least favorite character in FF6 gameplay-wise. You know, I'm torn. Ironically, my choices are the same as Saber for Wives, which are Cyan, Gao, and Mog. Cyan, because he's too slow and forces you to not play the game, at least in the SNES version. That goes away in the Pixel Remaster, it's worth noting. Gao, because he takes away control from the player, and Mog, because he takes away from the control from the player and kinda sucks. Like, dancing is not a good mechanic, and needs a polishing pass to actually be made worthwhile. Raging is at least something that is legitimately quite good. But it requires an inordinate amount of prep time and grind in order to actually make it good. I think, based on what I just said, I'm going to go ahead and ding Mog as my least favorite. Sure, you could turn Mog into a Dragoon from hell, but you could do that to anybody, including Edgar. I actually like Umaro. I tend to main Umaro in one of my main 3 parties, because Umaro is something that's really helpful. Big, honkin', solid physical damage. He also does piercing damage with some of his attacks. So yeah, here's the entry on Ghastly. Mushrooms, huh? Ghastly likes to eat mushrooms. That's not a bad thing, just more tame than I was expecting. Here I was thinking ghosts love nothing more than a snack on unsuspecting humans. I'm partial to mushroom stew myself. Maybe Ghastly aren't so ghastly after all. That's true. The Moogle charm is completely ancillary in the Pixel Remaster version. Yay, I'm gonna catch a ghosty and show it to all my friends. Bye. Yeah, you know, he was just putting on a brave face because you were here. Yes, I know you were. Ooh, a linking cord. I could use that on my Kadabra if I wanted to right now. Favorite gameplay-wise? Oof. That's actually really tough. Because actually a lot of them are really, really solid. Right off the top of my head, we have Sabin, Locke, Edgar, Terra, and Celeste. All of whom are really good gameplay-wise for different reasons. And I know what you're thinking, why would I include Locke in that list? Locke has access to some of the best equipment in the game, innately. So he can really gear up very well. He also has the best speed in the game, innately. And he can use that to really good effect, especially if you're doing a low-level challenge, which I have done many of. Yeah, I thought that was cool, Junker Rush. What was I doing? Right, haircut. Except I can't because I don't have a Mischievous. Terra and Celeste are both obvious. They're functionally Mystic Knights. You know, mage, melees, and they can equip the best gear in the game. They have really good spell selection between the two of them. Runic is situational, but very useful when it's useful. Looking at you, Magimaster. And Morph is just overpowered as hell. Oh, absolutely, Sadako. And Edgar, I don't feel like I need to explain Edgar. Because Edgar has a tool for every situation. And I have rarely meant that more literally. Edgar can work if you build him to be a mage. Edgar can work if you build him to be a attack damage. He has one of the few truly reliable ways to break perfect defense. 255 defense. In fact, Edgar was usually my go-to for breaking Cactrots over in the Cactuar Desert. He has the chainsaw, which, though bugged, is still a death machine against the right types of enemies. He's got good AoE capacity, and again, he can equip the best gear of the game. So, and Sabin cannot equip the best gear in the game, but what he can do is he can do blitzes. And I like blitzes And once again, blitzes are pretty useful for a wide variety of situations, and it's relatively easy to turn Sabin into a mage who will then blitz his way into oblivion. Yeah, Sabin can suplex trains. What do you want from me? Now, I need to... I need to figure out stuff. Okay, Mischievous. I remember where Mischievous are. And Cobalt Coastlands. We'll do that next. Realm is interesting because she has the highest magic defense and innate magic power in the game. So, it's kind of easy to lean on Realm, especially if you're just going for a low level challenge, so you don't want to do a lot of leveling. Oh, hey, they finally sell revives. I'm going to buy a few. Because, yeah, I'm sick of not having revives. Holy crap. Get a few of those while we're at it. Great balls aren't super expensive, too. It's good. Having said that, you asked me, you know, gameplay-wise and all that fun stuff, and Realm, especially innately, isn't great. Sketch is not a really good mechanic. It is entirely too reliant on what you're fighting, and frankly, too many enemies that you are fighting. Where am I going? I have very low one of the items for crafting revives, so I haven't been able to make a lot of revives. Mischievous, that's right. Sketch has the problem of being a little bit too useless against things that it otherwise should be useful against. And yeah, that's ignoring the sketch glitch, the infamous sketch glitch. I think with a polishing pass, sketch could be very, very useful, but there's too many times where you use it, and it's actually detrimental to your situation because of what it uses. Was it up here? No. I think it was the other zone. Although since I am right here, let's go ahead and grab these. Oh yeah, if you're doing a typical Magicide playthrough, Realm is pretty solid. Like I said, she is the easiest person to turn into a mage. It sounds so elitist, a typical playthrough. You know what I mean. Oh, now that is a tough question, Ross. Because I think both the Black Omen and Kefka's Tower are perfect examples of really, really good Last Dungeon design. I have used those as the golden standard of Last Dungeons in RPGs for years. Both of them have some benefits over the other, too. Chrono Trigger's Last Dungeon is optional. You do not have to do it. You can just skip it completely. In fact, there's more than one way to skip it completely. Having said that, FF6's Last Dungeon has the multi-party thing going for it, and I definitely do list that as a positive. In fact, I kind of wish the Final Fantasy series would get back to the multi-party thing, because it was a great freaking idea. Kefka's Tower, I do agree, has better pacing. I would also say that Kefka's Tower has better bosses gameplay-wise, even though I think that Chrono Trigger has better bosses, like, story-wise. I don't think I could pick a favorite song between those two, because both dungeons have really good music. I think if you put a gun to my head, I'd probably pick Kefka's Tower's song over the Black Omen song. But if it makes you feel any better, I think I would take the Undersea Palaces song over Kefka's Tower. In fact, you know what? Hang on. I don't know why you keep threatening to shoot me. It's very strange. Yeah, I can actually turn off the in-game music for a second. Let me make a point here. Let me turn this down so I don't blow out anybody's eardrums. So this is Kefka's Tower. Turn it up a little bit because I can barely hear that. You son of a submariner. Fine. What you may or may not have noticed is the song loops interestingly. It doesn't loop normally. Like a normal song will go from A to K, or L, and then it'll loop back to A or B, and then go to L. But what Kefka's Tower does is it goes from A to L, and then it loops back to D, and then it moves forward to A, at which point it then loops standardly. I know I'm explaining it badly, but you probably know what I'm talking about if you know music better than I do. I've seen songs do this back when I used to do a lot more mod tracking. Where it kind of goes like this, and then it goes like this, and then it goes like this. Like this. I know that's a terrible way to explain it, but it's a solid thing. Then, so it's not obvious. Musically, I prefer Kefka's Tower immediately. This is not exactly a bad song, but it just doesn't have the same impact, or length, or cleverness that Kefka's Tower does. It also doesn't really fit as well narratively. Kefka's Tower is just really, really final. You can feel, this is kind of what Asdami just mentioned, you can feel the fact that Kefka's Tower is the final dungeon, just by listening to it. Now, by contrast, this feels like a final dungeon. I actually think this is a better song than all three of them. This is just solid, top to bottom. The tidbits of the Kingdom of Zeal's music in here, the epic strings, the pseudo-techno feel and vibe, which fits the actual aesthetic of the Undersea Palace itself. Like, this is some awesome Final Dungeon music. Which is funny, because it isn't. Sand radishes. Sure. Yeah, it's all good. Damn it, Suffolk, no! And we lost her. Yes, Ross. To answer your first question, I think I'm going to give the edge to Kefka's Tower. The multi-party thing, the incredible itemization, which is something FF6 does well in general. The great variety of enemy design. The enemy designs in the Kefka's Tower are some of the best enemy designs in the FF series. And I mean just the trash. Just the random encounters. Is this where I want to be? Oh god, I don't actually remember where I'm supposed to be here. Hang on a second, No, this is right. Yeah, no, way up there. That's what I thought. Now let me turn the in-game sound back on. Anyway, sorry, Saber for Weiss. Ooh, visible walls. Hang on. Saber for Weiss asked a good question. So, admittedly, our big precedence on this point is, of all things, RTSs. In fact, StarCraft really helped to establish some precedents for how we review unit design. Now, we have reviewed other MMOs before, other RTSs before, but StarCraft kind of locked in what a positive and a negative for units is. And if we're being honest, that's kind of the reality of what Pokemon are. They're units in terms of design. Okay, we're just gonna move this way. Yes, Savacom. So I've been approaching Pokemon with that concept. So, for example, the Protoss might have decent... Mega Man X1, not just X1. The Protoss might have decent unit design as a whole, but no individual units that are particularly good or bad. Or the Protoss as a whole might be particularly well designed, but there's one unit that's really, really good, and one unit that's really, really bad. We're going to approach the same thing with Pokemon. Now, I've actually already done my due diligence and stared at a Pokedex for a while, and figured out the ones that I think deserve positives in both singular and aggregate. Here's the question. Do you think any of the Pokemon that are exclusively in Arceus deserve negatives, either as a group or as an individual? Pokemon that are particularly badly designed. No, we're talking gameplay, Giga. I should wait till I see the rest of them. Done. Okay, next step. I think Colgrim didn't hear that stared at a Pokedex for a while thing I just talked about. Yeah, exactly. I'm actually struggling to think, because this is a broad question. Are there any Pokemon, period, who would deserve a negative? Because this is going to apply to the whole franchise, really. How so, Sub-Zero? I mean, you're right, there's a lot of Pokemon, and that's the reality of reviewing a Pokemon game. No, Magikarp isn't particularly bad, especially because it turns into Gyarados. Remember, we're not really reviewing, for example, Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil is not an individual Pokemon, it is a line, just like Magikarp is. So, the mere fact that Gyarados exists... Exactly, Sub-Zero. The mere fact that Gyarados exists immediately erases the fact that Magikarp might be a bad Pokemon. Ironically, Sunkern was one of my first thoughts, but again... I don't think I have one yet. Actually, Unknown I could see. I would not agree with Paris, especially because of Parasect. No, it did not, Saber for Wife, but don't worry, it will. It's okay. I know what you're thinking. When are you going to have time to do that? Well, thankfully, I'm going to take a break from all kinds of work soon, so I'll be able to have time to go do that work during my break. Again, I can't give it to Dragonite for the same reason I can't give it to Dragonair or Dratini. No, absolutely not, Suffocom. I'm sorry. If I was going to take a long dark, I'd call it a long dark. This is a break for me to get sleep. Like, quite literally, that's the point of the break. Oh, there's no Sneasel. By the way, there's a Gyarados, speaking of which. I haven't seen a Magikarp yet. Love Disc? I could kind of see a Love Disc. Well, that's an interesting and very dangerous concept, Sub-Zero. Allow me to explain why I don't agree with that at all. It's the same reason why Final Fantasy X is not going to score particularly well, despite otherwise being a decent game. Why Ocarina of Time didn't score as well as it should, and Ross will never forgive me for that. There you are. No, don't... God damn it, I literally hit the wrong button. See, there's this concept called optional content. If we decide not to give negatives, or positives, to content because of the fact that it is optional, then we have established an extraordinarily dangerous precedence. Because, first of all, what... Oh my god. Okay. Just gonna run. Yep. We're just running. We're out. Bye. First of all, we have to define optional content. In some cases, it's actually really easy to define what is optional. And in other cases, it is not. Remember, we cover a fairly large variety of games on this show. Second of all, even that runs into problems immediately. Because... One moment. Because there's going to be arguments about what qualifies as optional or not. Especially with certain types of games. Hoot. Third problem is if we exclude optionals from negatives, as you define, we have to exclude optionals from positives as well. Which means any content that is not MSQ cannot, by definition, qualify for positives or negatives. That is a dangerous line to take, and is the kind of thing that is going to absolutely destroy my ability to review games. At that point, honestly, I might as well not even bother. Yeah, like, think about, just think about any game, really, that has optional content. It's not hard to think of it because it's most of them. Now think about all that extra content that doesn't count for the purposes of a review. Even considering the fact that optional itself is something that's debatable. What the hell? Oh well. Let's get here. Hell, to use FF6 as an example, I would not be able to give positives or negatives for almost the entire world of Run. I would be able to give positives and negatives for the initial scene on the island, the quick trip with Edgar, getting the airship, and then the final dungeon. And that would be it. Let's look up who Dalmites is, because I don't recognize that one. And yeah, FF10 would be a very different scoring game, because an inordinate quantity of FF10 is optional content. And unfortunately, most of it sucks. Actually, if you're paying attention, what I just said would actually only have 3 characters, because, believe it or not, Sabin is actually optional. You do not have to get Sabin in the world of Run. Not initially and not eventually. Yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition would have scored better. Absolutely. Origins would have probably scored worse, consequently. Mass Effect 2 would have scored much worse. Yeah. Yuffie and Vincent would not count for FF7 as well. That's another thing. Inquisition would also lose positives as well for all the non-MSQ stuff that was actually worth a damn. Ugh. Anyways, I hope this is a thorough explanation for why we consider optional stuff in consideration. This is actually an argument we had a long time ago. And was a rule we didn't have at one point. We used to do things your way and only count MSQ stuff. It's one of many reasons why so many of the old reviews are out of date and don't count. For example, the old FF10 review didn't actually really count the optional stuff while we're on the subject. So it's a ghost grass. Its stat spread is weird. Not great. God. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. That would be a really funny review. Jump. 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 Alright, do a couple of things here. Commit suicide, and that's the game. Okay, that was Baldur's Gate 3. Would have taken me 30 minutes. That's without the real glitching, which brings that run down to like 2 minutes or whatever it is at now. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think I would give Delmise a negative. I will admit it's not remarkable, but this feels to me more like an absence of a positive than a presence of a negative kind of a situation. Binnacle? Barbicle. It's rock water. I mean, there's lots of gimmick Pokemon. So far, the one I've most been inclined to giving a negative to is Unknown. Because Unknown is stupid. In fact, I'm going to commit to that. Negative for Unknown. Oh, I can explain it too. Check this out. Unknown wouldn't bother me that much if it wasn't actually a Pokemon you could catch. That's really the catch there. Unknown isn't really supposed to be a Pokemon in any real sense of the word. It's the letters. Yeah, okay, yeah, we get it. It's the freaking letters. And it spells out stuff, and it's connected to the ancient powers of whatever LeBlard. So if it wasn't an actual Pokemon, no issues, right? If it was just its own separate thing, and you couldn't actually have them. Yeah, actually, unknown schools would be a cool idea. I like that idea, as to mean. Instead, individual unknowns are total garbage, and not even in a way like it's fun to be a challenge or whatever. No, they're just badly designed because they're not supposed to be designed. The only reason they are Pokemon is because Gen 2 was a Game Boy game and didn't really know how to. I think it was Gen 2. And didn't really know how to actually add something like that. That wasn't just another Pokemon. What game gets that negative? This one, because this one has unknowns. And any one of them that have unknowns. I mean, I'm sure you can beat any Pokemon game using stuff like that, Saber 5. I mean, people have done Magikarp runs. But you try that for yourself. I'm gonna be over here and not do that. Yeah, we're gonna have fun over here. You do your unknown run over there. Would I give Gen 3 a negative for Feebas? Absolutely, for the acquisition method, not for the Pokemon itself. Where am I? What am I doing? Actually, yes, Blue Felix. I already thought about that. Because the thing that was actually coming to my mind was Victini, which I actually have a Victini for Gen 5. But Victini was event only, and to my knowledge, it has remained thus. Also, we have a bit of a precedence for ignoring timed, limited event kind of stuff in general for pretty obvious reasons. So we'll just kind of remove those from the board. Okay, I was going to look up Stunfisk, because I was asked about that and I spaced. Stunfisk. Oh, that's interesting. Slacking is dumb, but I don't think I'd give that a negative. National Dex I want to talk to y'all about. National Dex doesn't apply to this game, but it does to Gen 5. We'll come back to that for a second. What, Stunfisk or Slacking? Braven. Yeah, Regigigas isn't great, but isn't that bad. I wouldn't give Regigigas a negative. So Stunfisk. Uh. These are some terrible movesets. What the hell? Lots of electric types. I guess that makes sense. Because, yeah, ground electric. That's just a trip right there. Hmm. No, I don't think I would give a negative for Stunfisk. Plusle and Minun will not get a negative. What will get a negative is the introduction of Pokemon who boast benefit from group battles in a game series that doesn't emphasize group battles. The absence of a feature is usually not a negative unless there's other elements of that game that encourage that feature that does not exist. We have precedents for that, too. What redeems it? It's not total trash. Like, I'm saying this wrong, but Stunfisk is a bad Pokemon, and that's fine. But it's also a ground electric, which has pretty solid defenses, and a decent moveset, which you can set up to be a nice tanky kind of a thing. Its stats aren't exactly great, so that kind of goes contrary to that. But the point is, this is merely a bad Pokemon, not a negative Pokemon. Smeargle is a hell of a gimmick Pokemon that I'm not sure would actually qualify, but hang on. Let's pause for a second. Let's keep the discussion for now to get to Pokemon that are in this game. Just to stay on track a little bit, okay? So, for example, some of the ones I was considering for negatives here, there's Unknown, I already decided on that one. Chatot was one I was debating, but ultimately Chatot is just a bad bird with a bad gimmick, so starter types almost always are going to get a positive by themselves because starter chains are some of the most designed and well-designed, with a few notable exceptions, none of which apply here. Fion, how do we get a Fion? Let's see. How do we procure you in Arceus? It is apparently a request. No, I cannot. Sub-Zero. I have no idea how I would do that. I've got it. Negative for Arceus. For looking dumb. I will admit the Gen 4 legendaries and mythics are what I would call for the most part. In fact, if you were looking at the line, look at the document notice, I gave a generic positive for Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Arceus, Manaphy, Shaman, and Darkrai. The only question mark is there is Darkrai. But because they're just kind of there. Oh, I'm sorry, that also includes Uxie, Mespirit, Azelf, Heatran, Regigigas, Cresselia, Tornadus, Thundurus, Landorus, and Enamorus. All of those are just kind of sure. Oh, there's Zoroark. How the hell do you pronounce that? Zoroark, I guess. Or Crying Baby. I think it's how you pronounce that. Crying Baby. One of the ones I was debating and I walked back from was Rotom. Rotom still kind of works for me. Especially with how they use its forms. So, we'll give Rotom a pass. Spiritomb is definitely positive territory. Spiritomb is actually a very well-designed gimmick Pokemon. Kind of like Shuckle, actually. Shelmet is not actually in this one. Shedinja is not in this one. So no to both. can spell. So Bonsly and Sudowoodo. Solid rock type. Pretty much standard rock stats. Good attack, good defense, low speed, moderate HP. Gets Rock Tomb, Rock Slide. Several fighting abilities, too. Hang on. Luminion. Finneon and Luminion. Luminion has pretty bad stats. And average abilities, so neutral. What else we got? Pachirisu. I admit it would be interesting of me to give a negative to the Pokemon that's sitting right here. Pachirisu has surprisingly high special defense. Actually gets Thunder innately. I don't even know that. Yeah, that's actually not so bad for a solid electric. And it's cuter than Pikachu, so it's got that going for it. So yeah, no, I'm going to discount that one as well. Now, I think we all know the one Pokemon that deserves a negative in Arceus. And it's whichever one is your favorite one. Cherubi and Cherim. Well, we've already got the form gimmick, which is kind of neat. Decent defensive stats. Get some really solid grass coverage there. It is solid grass. It also can get Sunny Day. Which, yeah, that tracks. No, Cherim is weak, but it's not badly designed, I don't think. Whoops. Let's hit the wrong button. There we go. Male Combee. Someone's got to make the female Combees, okay? I'm just saying. Baby forms are part of their lines, so Pichu, Pikachu, and Raichu are functionally one Pokemon. Same thing that makes a unit badly designed, Blade Defaults. You'll notice I'm giving very, very few negatives for Pokemon, because so far we've only found one that I think actually qualifies as legitimately badly designed. So Burmy. Sure, Colgrim, but, I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything to add to that. So, no. Let's see. So, we've got environmental thing, which doesn't really change its stats, just its appearances. Also can change into Mothim, which is pretty solid. So, we've got Wormadam, which is whatever. That's just another Parasect. Decent abilities, though. Samurott line. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one. That's the idea, Dream Whisperer. Cricketune. Well, it does sound very annoying. I'm not going to argue that point. I don't think anybody's going to argue that point. Chatot. It's just a typical bird, so no. Yeah, Cricketune also feels like just generic bugs. We're going to pass over that one as well. So give me your argument on Samurott. And let's see if I can catch a freaking Misdreavus. I mean, it's one of those interesting questions, isn't it, Saber for Wife? Because as weird as this may sound, what's the alternative? Not reviewing the Pokemon in a Pokemon game? I actually am not in it. You see the eyeballs in the backpack in the back there? That's me. I'm poking out of the backpack. So. Alright, so when you see it, you say it feels less designed. Help me out here, Kevin. Walk me through this. Oh, there's an Alpha Misdreavus. Try to grab that. Probably shouldn't, though. Got the Misdreavus. Yeah, like it... The philosophy there is admittedly weird, but if your game has tons and tons of something that's good, then doesn't it deserve points for doing tons and tons of things that are good? We've actually already run into this exact argument. Not with RTSs, believe it or not. But with fighting games. Because it's kind of the same mentality there. Do individual fighters qualify for positives? And the answer was, yeah, absolutely. There it is, there he is. Jinx. I don't remember. What's the full line for Jinx? That's way down there. Let's go for this one instead. It's just Smooch 'em and Jinx. I thought they had another one by now. Yeah. Baby Pokemon are part of their line and therefore count as part of their line. That's the consensus on baby Pokemon. Here's a random question, Bluff Alex, and don't take this as any kind of a dig or attack. I'm legitimately curious. In just Empire Strikes Back, just that movie, nothing else, would you give Boba Fett a positive, like to story, for character? This is something I've been pondering myself, so I'm curious of your thoughts on it. Kind of individually. It depends on what they bring to the equation. Because as you say, if a Pokemon is just a copy-paste of another Pokemon, then it doesn't really get credit for that, right? We don't actually have a Magikarp yet, so let's rectify that. Branching lines tend to be better designed, Colbert, in my experience. Gardevoir. Or Scyther, for that matter. Probably Inamisho. Same thing with all the Rattata wannabes. What's my take on Palworld? Okay, don't take this as a dig, but I'm sick of talking about Palworld. That's my take on Palworld. It's already irrelevant. Like, we have already reached the point where nobody really cares about it anymore. Having said that, I'll talk about Starfield. Palworld is just another game by a terrible game developer who got lucky once. And that's the nicest thing I could say about it. They're not a particularly well-known good... Well-known's the wrong word. They're not known for being a good developer. They like to come out with concept games, not really polish them. God damn it, I'm going to the wrong thing. Not really polish them, not really do anything with them. And then, damn it, I really am going the wrong way. And then just kind of put them in early access, grift people into buying them, and then they move on to the next game. Anybody who's paying attention knows they've actually already moved on from Palworld onto their next game, which I forget the name of it, but it's already out. They're already working on it. And that's what I think of Palworld. If people derive enjoyment from that, good. We need more enjoyment in our lives. But it's vetoed for a reason. Hell, I don't even have to technically veto it, because there's a really good chance it will never come out. And I don't review alpha games. I don't review early access games. That is an alpha dragon of hell. I don't want to deal with that. Just gonna ignore that. There we go. Yeah, Valheim, not out yet. Be Rising, not out yet. I actually have a relatively large list of games that I'm interested in that are just sitting there because most of them aren't out yet, and I know many of those probably will never come out. Don't make me pause the stream again, Inami Show. If the stream breaks. Nevergrave, The Witch and the Curse. The demo is actually out now. If a PS5 game gets funded, I'm not really worried about that, to be really, really blunt. I'm surprised we don't have Sigma games already. Yeah, that's the other thing. Most PS5 games that are currently being funded are games I'm comfortable with because they're all coming out on PC eventually. I will say this, I think I've quietly committed to not accepting any actual PS5 exclusive games, at least at the moment. Not because of the lack of PS5, that is a solvable problem, but streaming PS5 games, capturing PS5 games, might actually be a better way to phrase it, is a whole extra layer of hassle, and frankly, I don't really want to deal with that. It is probably something I can deal with. Maybe. Yeah, I would need to figure out a new capture card setup. Was that an Ultra Ball? It is. I just have one Ultra Ball randomly. And yeah, for anybody who knows, capture cards in general are already finicky, irritating, frustration. Just bundles of aggravation. So having to deal with all that again just to get a new card just to capture a PS5 game is not something that sounds particularly useful to me. That's a good question, as to me. I don't know. Sure, Ross. Well, I gotta warn you, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Hmm. The Switch is like any other HDMI thing. It's actually very smooth and very simple. Ironically, the Switch's, I guess simplicity is the way I want to phrase that, works in its favor for streaming. Because there's really only 2 resolutions the Switch supports, and both of them are really easy to capture with a minimum of fuss. Whereas with my PS4, occasionally I have to do a hard reset of the PS4 just to get the sucker to actually work. Where's my mystery was I just got? There it is. Yep, I want that hair. Can I have that hair? God, now what do you want? Curlia? Well, I haven't leveled my ralts yet, so I guess we'll start prioritizing that. What's that Pokemon up there? What's its name? What's its do? What Pokemon? That is a Magikarp. Why is it called Magikarp? Is it a cool Pokemon? Is it strong? Can it fly? I mean, it could jump really, really high. You learn about Magikarp. Can you tell me when you're done? Okay, so now I have to fill out a Magikarp Pokedex. That's actually funny. Okay. Well, before we commit to continuing with that, let's go ahead. Let's progress the main quest now that we actually can. Wing balls. Okay, new zone. After we get another quest. I was strolling Prelude Beach and I saw something swimming away from shore. It's a sort of Pokemon. Okay, we'll go talk to Iskan then. No, I kind of feel Blue Wolf Alex's mentality there. It's one of the reasons I'm actually very pro Xbox, despite not having one myself. Like, what would you rather do? Spend the time and the money and the effort and the hassle and the build and the screw-ups and the returns and more money and more time on getting a good PC setup, especially if you don't know what you're doing, or buying an Xbox. One thing I can tell you, I've heard long ago Cobalt coastlands were known as the East Sea, and a princely Pokemon was said to live there. It's the Sea's legend, but no one knows about the tome or the tale. That's all I know. I guess I wasn't much help. I'll just take my leave then. Bye. Say hi to your girlfriend. Bye. Wow, that really isn't much to go on for a quest. Holy crap. I don't remember how long it was before FF701 came out on console. Oh, Manaphy. That would track. Oh, stretch. Right. MSQ. Let's get a real Pokemon going. Who's my highest level right now? Looks like it's actually my Typhlosion. That's interesting. Sure. You'll be my frontliner for a minute. Alabaster Islands. Avalugg, it hasn't harmed a soul. Does it really behoove us to go out of our way to subdue him? If Avalugg is great and mighty, as they say, he could cause avalanches. Avalanches don't require Pokemon's help. They occur on their own. I have my doubts whether we should be getting involved in this case. No damage has been done, but if we send Laura out, we're putting him in harm. Yes, why would we solve a problem that isn't a problem yet? Yeah, you're dumb. So, next question. When did FF7R1 come out on PC? Oh, God. It's a Mr. Mime. Wow, you're high level. Oh, wow, we lived through it. Holy crap. Go all out then, because we're about to die, so... And we're dead. Oh, there goes my highest level Pokemon. Just shreked in 2 attacks. Wow. Sure, let's see how this works out. Try this. See what happens. And then it dies, of course. Dang it. Oh, that's right. It was Epic Store. That's why I thought it came out on PC later. Because it did for me. Okay, so that sucks. Nah, sleep doesn't actually exist in this game. Only drowsy. Which is essentially paralyze. Interesting. Yeah, can I go heal? Because this is my actual team, too, and I'm just getting, you know, beat in the face here. Button. There we go. Where the hell is this? Not where I wanted to be. See what we got. No, I know. I was just... This is something that Blade Chaval mentioned. That I haven't been back here in a minute. I'll go ahead and grab that, I think. I mean, I was going to Colgrim. Just, I don't have a lot of money right now, which is why I'm holding off on just buying everything. Like, that's 1/10 of my money right there. That is useful. I'll give you that. It's also cheap. I should probably actually grab Rocks Smash too, because I've already seen rocks out in the wild. And it's cheap. Oh no, there's a mass outbreak of Lickitung. Yeah, it's chilly here. Maybe you should have brought a coat. Okay. He's wearing a lab coat. Brisk out here, isn't it? Of course she's comfortable. How aren't you freezing? I'm practically sweating. I think this is bad. Just wait. It's not compared to where we're heading. You know, I'm beginning to think the problem between us isn't a Diamond Clan thing or a Pearl thing. It's just a you and me thing. I don't see how we could see eye to eye as long as you and your clan cling to your vision of an almighty Sinnoh that reigns over time. Forgive my bluntness, but if such a being even exists, it certainly is not almighty Sinnoh. Yeah. Where do we want to go? We're going to see my teacher. He's only ever found in one place. The bar. Getting drunk. Make sure we're healed. Oh man, Saber for wife. So, bug Pokemon in Gen 1 would probably all be negatives, or at the very least one negative for all. Not sure of the specifics, but, you know. Psychics would probably also be a negative. And dragons, and ghosts. For being horrifically underdesigned, Dream Whisperer. Remember, that's Gen 1. They didn't have design yet, really, for a lot of them. Yeah, there's Scyther, who learns no bug moves, despite being a bug Pokemon. And yeah, Ghost, look up how many Ghost moves were in Gen 1. Also, there are no Ghost Pokemon in Gen 1. They are all Ghost Poison. Like, yeah, Gen 1, technically, it's more bugs in several cases. Not, like, the bug type, gameplay bugs. But no, there's several issues with the Pokemon design. That's one of the reasons why anytime we do that pass, we have to do it specific to the decks in question, because Pokemon get changed over time. So, for example, a lot of the Gen 1 Pokemon that are in this game are fine, because they've been designed since then. Why is that a thing? Like, I must have screwed up at some point. None of this should be in the bank. There they are. What the hell? So I don't know where my frickin' Great Balls went. Missing no. Well, you see, and that's what I would review Missing No. Yeah, Dragon. Yeah, look up how many Dragon moves there are in Gen 1, although I think that's what Arceus just said. So never mind. Oh, still, point made. That's an iPhone. Don't care. Data corruption detected. Error. Error. Yeah, I remember when Nightshade, I think it is. It's the attack that does your level's worth of damage. Was like, yeah, this is super useful. And it lasted like maybe one full route plus one gym. And then started dropping off almost immediately. Wait, this isn't that great anymore. Oh god. Oh god. That's another reason I wanted to establish our precedence on unit design here, though. Because that's going to kind of trickle out into the other Pokemon games. This is a relatively easier one to do because the dex in this game is actually relatively small for a Mercy. Oh yeah, so we do need to decide the national dex. I don't mean the existence of the national dex. I don't care about that. I mean, do we count Pokemon from the national dex when it comes to reviewing a game? Because that's kind of a weird situation. Please stop looking at me. Okay, fine. Die. Die, monster. On the one hand, it's easy to see why they should count. They're in the game. They are accessible, they're available, blah, 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 blah. So there you go. Boom. On the other hand, that's a lot of repeat data. A lot. On the other hand, how available the national dex is tends to vary from game to game. So in some games, there's a substantial enough post-game that the national dex is worth a damn. The Gen 1 remake is a good example of that. And in some games, there's practically no post-game other than, congrats, you unlocked the national dex. Go do no actual content. Unfortunately, the real problem is, and I just gave this away if you were paying attention, Pokemon designs change over the years. So, sometimes the national dex would arguably count more because those Pokemon were redesigned for the generation in question that they're in. Problem is, that requires a level of knowledge that I don't think I actually have to really be able to judge. 56! Goodbye. Oh wow, it didn't kill you. Now die. Perfect. Yeah, we're just gonna run. Yeah, I don't really know how to level more, as absolutely bizarre as that probably sounds. It's not like I've been avoiding getting experience, and the X share is on, as it is on by mandate. couldn't turn the extra off if I wanted to. That is an alpha over there. Nope. Okay, yep. That... Trying to catch Mons, it's just not waking. Yes, absolutely, Sub-Zero. That kind of thing should be a toggle, and that's all there is to that. In fact, that negative has already been given. Giant pit of death. Don't mind me. Remind me what that means, estimate. You just want to get me killed, Shadow Machine. Admit it. Admit it. When do you want me to get killed, Shadow Machine? Yeah, speaking of Bloom, I can barely see what I'm doing. Oh, God. They got rid of that in Sword and Shield? Interesting. I didn't know that. Either way, no, that's not a negative. That's an absence of a positive. Oh, they got rid of it in Scarlet and Violet. Okay. I was going to say. Never mind. Well, we'll get there when we get there. And that's going to be my answer to that. Although, actually, now you got me curious. I guess it doesn't matter here, because you can swap without losing a turn in this version. Oh yeah, better stealth in this game than Starfield. By sheer virtue of functioning. Jesus, Plageable. Yeah, we don't have to take off all our clothing to catch Pokemon in this game, because honestly, that'd be pretty weird. Look, it's not my fault that Starfield's knees are so bustable, okay? Like, as I'm fond of saying, I'm not the one who decided to make your game terrible. You did that all on your own. You referring to the developers. No, as I've said several times, I legitimately think that the Starfield devs are too prideful to admit that they have done wrong, and thus will probably never do better. By sheer virtue of that pride. It really does, Sobicon. Alright, fine. Just for you, Shadow Machine. Ah! Ugh. Day 15 of being stuck in the ice. I'm slowly starving down here. Shadow Machine knew I would starve to death down here. If I ever get out, I'll make sure he's the last thing... I'm the last thing that he ever sees. I don't remember that moment specifically, Zactef, so I'll take your word on it. I mean, it really does, Yura. I agree. It's almost hard not to be prideful when you are the people who made Skyrim. Excuse me, Skyrim. Even ignore everything else they've ever made. Really. Ignore all the rest of it. They made Skyrim. Oh, it's a tank fight. Got it. Yeah, that's all I need to hear. We dropped some of our items on the ground and warped back to town. Save it for life. That. Hell, even considering the fact that I'm not a particularly big fan of Skyrim, I'm not, it would be legitimately foolish of me to not acknowledge its impact and its quality and certain aspects of game design. What is that? Okay. Found an ice rock. So that's cool. Let's get out of here. Yeah, exactly, Estimate. There's not a lot of games that are juggernauts, but that one absolutely qualifies as a juggernaut game. I can actually just see the conversation of someone confronting them saying, "Hey, Starfield sucks, and here's why, ... And their response is, "Do you know who you're talking to? I worked on Skyrim. What have you ever worked on in your life?" It's easy to criticize something. I mean, you've heard the arguments before. It's very common. Wait, what is that? Yeah, no, that can stay in there. Next step after open world? Starfield. No, I have no idea. Yeah, you made Starfield. What happened to you? What do you mean? Don't mind me. I'm just leveling here really quick. No shinies yet. At this point, I don't think we're going to get a shiny. And I'm okay with that. Okay. Why do you say that, Culver? Bonita doesn't count. Yes, I caught a red Gyarados. Hey, check out my shiny. A Psyduck. Yeah, that's the other thing. I know that if I actually do get a shiny, it's going to be something crap. I just know it. There's something I actually don't have. Yeah. Yeah, there's worse shinies to get. As I think I've mentioned before, I've seen someone on a speedrun have a shiny pop, and it was a freaking Eradicate. Of all things. Yeah, Zubat would be worse, because I've seen shiny Crobat. I'm not a big fan. No, I haven't, Blade of All. What horrible things do they do with it? It's the elf. I like it's the elf. Does the mechanic of shinies get a positive? No. Super rare cosmetics existing isn't what I would call good game design. Or cosmetic design, personally. It's just there. I've got to see this. Hang on. Okay, where's your shinies? Oh my god, that's eye-searing. That's like if a banana fell into a vat of cotton candy. But no, you want some really bad shiny Pokemon? A lot of people point to Espeon for obvious reasons, but Regice, Garchomp, and Leafeon are my three go-tos for just worst shiny design. If you don't know why, look them up. When you have trouble even telling it's a shiny, why even bother? That is a Lucario. Sorry, no, that's a Riolu. Even better. What's Umbreon? Well, I guess I should look. Come back, Riolu. I want to be your friend and use you for experience. I know the way you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, the funny thing is, at one point in time, this is a while ago, I sat down and looked up all my favorite Pokemon to see what all their shinies were. Can you guess how many of the shinies of my favorite Pokemons I liked? You can, because I know the number off the top of my head, because it's a very easy number to remember. 0. Like, look up shiny Crobat sometime. Also known as Pepto-Bismol Crobat. Nice, it's easy then. Or it's right here. Yeah, they just took Crobat and just dunked it in Pepto-Bismol, and that's just what they did. What is he doing? Is he just sleeping? Like on his knees? Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, I actually turned down the sound effects early to try and limit some of the spam problems we're having. Okay. Well, I recognize Manaphy, I think. That's Cresselia. That's Reggie something, Regigigas, I think. Interesting. Where's Giratina? Oh, that is Giratina. You're right, you're right. Hello, kid. That's why I marked it. I want to go back if we get any of the legendaries. And now we run. Run. Now we run. Favorite Dragon Quest game? Probably 11. 11, 5, and 8 are the big candidates. Although I'm not sure if the game will let me catch Arceus in this game. You never know. He's in the Pokedex. No, no, not 7. 7 is... Seven is the Persona 5 of Dragon Quest games. Story-wise, I'd say 5, 8, or 11. 3, yeah, I know that some people like 3. That is something that is a true statement. Alright, what do you want? Okay, so you want to set up a base camp. Sure, I'll find a dude. Eight was a bit of a breakout success. So the Dragon Quest games have always had middling to low success outside of Japan. And I should mention that that's relative. For JRPGs, they sold fine. Now, everyone in Japan thought that was just because we were dumb, stupid Gaishin, or whatever the term is. Because we couldn't possibly understand the glory and beauty that is Dragon Quest. Because Dragon Quest over there is a cultural icon. Then Dragon Quest VIII came out. Gaijin, excuse me. Now, Dragon Quest VIII was kind of an interesting one. Because it was well marketed, it was well released, it's a good game, and it was attached to FF12, which pretty much guaranteed people were going to get eyeballs on it. It also came out on the PS2. And the PS2 is the best-selling console of all time for a frickin' reason. So it kind of had everything going for it. So, naturally, Dragon Quest VIII suddenly exploded in popularity. By all accounts, the actual dev teams and marketing executives over there were actually surprised at how well Dragon Quest VIII did. So, that led to a resurgence of Dragon Quest, both there and here. the main way we benefited from that was we got the DS remakes. And those remakes are actually really freaking solid. Like, I highly recommend all 3 of them. Now, what's really frustrating is in the space of all of that good popularity, naturally it wasn't enough for the executives at Square, who are A, Japanese, and B, very, very stupid. So, naturally, they thought that the West didn't like Dragon Quest games and decided not to release the 3DS version of 7 for quite a while. That's extremely frustrating, because, despite my comments, I do actually like Dragon Quest 7. It took years for that game to finally get an English port. It finally came out, it, naturally, sold quite well, and so they decided, fine. We'll go ahead and give you one more chance to prove that the West actually likes our games. That led to Dragon Quest XI. Dragon Quest XI sold extraordinarily well, and it's worth noting, also was a really freaking good game. Go figure. Yeah, no. Yeah, 11 is also a pretty freaking long game. I think it's actually technically longer than 7, it just doesn't feel as long. Seven is padded. So padded. You're probably thinking, okay, well now that Dragon Quest XI sold extremely well, now what? That's a good question. Dragon Quest XII and the Dragon Quest III possibly remake have both been in development for actual years at this point. Your guess is as good as mine on that one. They're just kind of doing whatever. Oh yeah, there's one last thing that Dragon Quest VIII completely lucked into, although I don't know the full details because I haven't researched it lately. Dragon Quest VIII was, let's call it flavorfully localized. It was actually the first Dragon Quest game to receive that particular bit of flavor. So if you ever wondered why the PS2 version, if you ever wondered why the I don't have a better word. The flavorful localization. The usages of exaggerated accents and dialects. And yeah, the core blimey and all that. That actually came from 8 on the PS2 in English. It was then backported to quite a few other things and showed up in pretty much every remake and main game since. Kind of became the standard, in other words. Probably because it was really popular and, honestly, really good. The reason I keep calling it flavor is it takes a lot of the dialogue, which would otherwise be dry, and, you know, adds flavor to it. Ugh, liberal. I don't know. What makes it worse, Super for Life? Oh, hang on. So let me walk this back here. You said 3DS or PS2 version. I was in the middle of talking about the localization thing, which was added to Dragon Quest VIII to make it into the flavorful thing that it is. So when you said PS2 or 3DS, I automatically assumed that you were asking which version added the localization, to which I then immediately responded, PS2. If you're asking which version is better, I don't know. I haven't actually finished my 3DS playthrough, and honestly probably won't until we stream it. We will be streaming the 3DS version, consequently. No, that's my fault. I misunderstood. Just gonna grind Pibberells here, don't mind me. Me too, our spruce. I think they're literally made out of wood, so that helps. Yeah, aesthetic. Get back here, iPalm. Get back here. Yeah, the composer behind Dragon Quest is talented, but a little weird, which is why Dragon Quest XI, for example, didn't come out with the actual proper soundtrack. That's the simplest way I could put that. If you want more details, you're gonna have to look it up, because I don't remember all the details right now. Well, that's clearly a demon, Giga Pudding, and should be killed immediately. Like, just turbo death. Just turbo death. You know, I never actually did go back to doing this. Hang on, let's grab these really quick. I'll agree on one itemization negative. Or one interface negative. Unless I've already given that? No. No, I know what you meant, but I was reminded of that negative that I think Holmgren suggested. Infernal Parade. Sure. I'm guessing that's the whatchafig. Let's put that there. Get a little bit of spread, just a little. Yeah, no, what the game's probably going to make you do is listen to the voice, do everything it says, fall into its trap, fall victim, and then be like, hang on a second. And then, you know, go and defeat it like you could have done 20 hours ago. That is pretty much the norm, I believe. Really, Saber for Wife? No, that's just the norm for, like, every RPG ever, Gigapudding. I mean, to go back to Pokemon for a second, this world is imperfect. If only I could just remake it to be as beautiful as I am. I mean, come on. 20 hours later. Ah, I deceived you all! Yeah, none of us were shocked. Lysanderoth. Okay. Let's get some money. Get some walks. Oh, we actually finished Snorunt. Okay. That would be funny, Shadow Machine. Yeah, Getzies shows up. Who could the bad guy be? They're all just staring at him like, really? No, look. You have to guess who the bad guy is. Who could it be? What strange and powerful... Why are you looking at it? No, it's not him. It's not him. He's a good guy. He's trying to help Pokemon. Nope. Oh, I don't know, Trihex. I'm sure he's up there somewhere. He's pretty terrible. I think that's all of them for the moment. Release. No, release. There we go. Jesus. Yeah, it was a few. Probably the trailers act out, if I had to guess one. I mean, no, I'm kind of with you, Saber for Wife. Don't mistake me. The graphics are bad, and I have dinged them. They deserve a negative. It's unoptimized, and honestly, they have issues with that. When I say bad, I mean, you know, objectively bad. Like, there are issues. But I'm with it so far. The problem is if it gets worse than this. Looking at you, Violet. See, I'm kind of a graphics guy, but I'm far more about design than fidelity. So graphics bugs suck, and they get negatives, but then I move on immediately, if you know what I mean. Unless they're kind of graphic bugs that cause me physical harm, which, Lord knows, I've played plenty of those games in my life. Like, if you remember, I actually put down Greedfall almost immediately, and then went and had to do some I&I edits in order to make it so the game didn't make me physically nauseous. Same thing with Outer Worlds, actually, and for a very similar reason. Alright, so what level did we get up to just now? Well, we're in our 30s. Is there a good leveling? Let's hit Google here. Good leveling spots. What do we got? Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me. Okay. Well, I don't think I can do that, but we could try. Let's try it. Where was that? Hang on. Okay. Hang on, let's do this really quick. But yeah, I mean, I have several categories, at least 4 that I know of. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excuse me, 6 categories for giving pluses and minuses to visuals. It's not like I don't care. But at the same time, basic graphics to me usually just mean absence of positives, rather than presence of negatives. So who in my team do you think has the best chance of taking down a Blissey? I'm leaning towards my Typhlosion. What do y'all think? God damn it, I just realized I screwed up. I believe my Staraptor does have close combat, although I'm not using him in it. One minute. I mean, honestly, let's just max out the Gabite to 3 here. Let's just get to effort value 3 across the board here. I think I'm also committed to the Goomy. So let's get everything to 3. I mean, I can understand the mistake as to me. And yeah, Twitch has been rather twitchy today. Like more than usual. Delicious dinner. Oh, we're out. that's my really big one. Sorry. Oh, not the one I wanted to use. Speed, I think. Speed is king. Possibly Saber for wife. Quite possibly. I've never had to do that in a Pokemon game before, other than to evolve, and that doesn't really count. So, we'll see. I think we'll sit at that for now. Okay, now, let's make it nighttime so we don't get bloomed to death. Sure, Arceus. Thank you for asking first. I mean, you're right. I wasn't joking, Animisho. It's... Whether it's a good or a bad thing is a little bit more debatable, but it is definitely a weird thing, regardless. Gotcha. So, favorite method of evolution. Hypothetically, it would be stones, but in most games, stones are rare, and or, like, you can only get one or two throughout the course of the entire game. And so that's just a colossal pain. I need Dusknoir. So I can't go with stones. Leveling feels like the wrong choice. Having a move usually just involves leveling, unless there's a TM option as well. And it's usually just leveling. Or, breeding. Well, let's try this. See what happens. In this game in particular, you can actually buy stones, which is really, really nice. But, like, think about several of the previous ones where you absolutely cannot. When you look up, it's like, where can you get how many firestones in this game? Well, there's one on this route, one on this route. Shedinjas is very cool. I agree with that. So let's see what this does, shall we? Let's see if we can set it on fire, first of all. Okay, we set him on fire. That's good. That's good. Okay. I think we might actually have this. The question is going to be... Oh my god! God. Wait, what? Close your eyes. Okay, eyes are closed. I'm kind of in the middle of something? That's okay, it's turn-based, so I guess that's not good for the world. You open my eyes yet? Uh-huh. Ah!
Sorry! I didn't see that coming.
Yes, that's... No, no, okay. Yes, that is Yoshi. You say Yoshi? Yoshi! Yoshi!
Say hi, stream.
See if I can beat this Alpha Chansey really quick here.
I can't give a slice. The camera, you're in the way.
Nope, you're invisible.
Look, Sohaila.
Okay, that was a fairly large chunk of X. And that was easy to get to. And that's honestly all I need to know. That was a nice, solid chunk of X. And it always spawns here. Okay. I like happiness, too. Although, some of the games have better happiness mechanics than others. Like Gen 2's happiness mechanic kinda sucked, if you remember. What in the world?
I went down now, Mama.
Yeah, apparently.
And then she proceeded to...
Baby?
So, no. Girls, upstairs.
Baby, can I have my Yoshi, please?
Nazafarin. Sohela.
Anyways, it sounds like it's dinner. Call me a weirdo. So, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, hopefully,
Upstairs.
we will go ahead and continue.
2, 3.
And we'll see how things go next. What?
Yoshi bomb.
And we'll be Yoshi bombed. Yoshi!
That was pretty good too.